Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to start a new chapter for ICSE Class 8 History and Civics. So the chapter name is The Impact of British Rule on India. So this chapter which I am going to deal is taken from the book called Goyle Brothers. If you are using other books, you can also view this video. The book which I took, Goyle Brothers, is just for your reference. If you are using other book, the same content will be there. So starting with the introduction about this chapter. So coming to the introduction about this chapter, Impact of British Rule on India. So we know that the conquest of the British by India brought many changes in India. The British brought many changes in the cultural, political, social and economic setup of the country India. So the administrative structure of the British was designed and developed to serve the British interest. The British, which they ruled, was making the administration to serve their interest. The main emphasis was placed on the maintenance of the law and order, so the trade with India can go smoothly, alright, and the exploitation can also go smoothly. So the main emphasis of the British were maintaining the law and order so that they can carry out the trade without any disturbance. The British domination of the India brought many fundamental changes in the economic as well as the social life of the people, which we are going to deal in the coming videos. New forms of the production, consumption, social classes, new movements emerged during this period. Right, many movements such as Bhakti and Sufi cult and reform movements emerged in this period only, which we are going to study in this book. India became a major market for British goods and a source of cheap raw material for the British factory. So India became the raw material. India became the source of cheap raw material for the British goods, for the British factories. Okay. So the British economic policies. What are the economic policies by the British? So we know that before the coming of the British, Indian villages were self-sufficient. Self-sufficient means they were sufficient with what they have and they were comfortable. But only relation with the government was paying revenues. So at that time, before the arrival of the British, only relation with the government was paying the tax. Other than that, the people were separate and the government was separate. So village society consists of the people of different professionals such as peasants, carpenters, potteries, weavers, priests, artisans. So these divisions of the peoples was based on the simple division of the labors. So up to here, which I told, was before the arriving of the British. Once the British has arrived, the complete thing which I told was destroyed. Means all the social, political, economic structure as well as the only meeting of the village peoples with the government was all destroyed, right? So the British appointed their own official to collect the revenue in the cash instead of the kind. So what is the meaning of this sentence? What is the meaning of this sentence? So before the arrival of the British, we know that before the arrival of the British, I am talking about this. So this is a government, Indian government. This is the village peoples. So the village peoples were giving tax to the government. So these tax they will give in the form of the kind. What is meant by the kind? Kind means what they have grown, the crops, they will take a little part of it as a part of the cash they will give for the Indian government. But after the coming of the British, what happened? After the coming of the British, so this is the Indian farmers, this is the British government. The British government will appoint a person. This person will collect a tax. So this tax in which the people has grown, he will not collect this. He will ask for cash. He will not collect in the kind, he will ask for cash. That's the sentence. Cash instead of kind. Right? He will ask for tax. After that, he will give for British government. So this is the complete meaning of this sentence. So the farmers began to produce cash crops, which is the high demand in the market. Okay. The village cottages industry was ruined because cheap machine-made goods flooded in the markets. What is meant by this cottage industry? What the Indians were making was ruined because the industrial revolution came So as a result, industrial revolution, the machine made goods flooded the market, because industrial revolution came and many goods was made by the machines, and they are super fast, and they were selling in the market. Okay. Disappearance of the Indian rulers, courts and mobility gave a big blow to the handcraft because they were main customers. Coming to the new land revenue system. So the British made new land revenue system. Why they made this new land revenue system? The only emphasizes which they made the new land revenue system was because to serve their interest. What are their interest and what they made? Let me learn now. So the Ijazatdari system was introduced by the Warren Hastings for collection of the land revenue. So this was a system which was introduced by the Warren Hastings, right? According to this, land revenue was given to the highest bidder for the period of 5 years. This system led to the exploitation of the farmers. So what is this Ijazatdari system? So for example, Ijazatdari system is a system in which land was given to the person of the highest bidder. Highest bidder means who got the highest vote. Highest vote in the sense who has the highest money to give to take that land, right? So that land was given for 5 years. 5 years. And so this system which led to the exploitation of the farmers. Means exploitation means damage, somewhat not good for farmers. The British needed revenue to pay for the administrative and war exploitation. That's the reason the British made these land revenue systems. So these land revenue system was the source of these administration and the war and exploitation of the British. The British introduced many land reforms other than the Ijazatdari system which was introduced by the Warren Hastings. So these were permanent settlement, Royatwari and Mansabdari system. Let me learn these system now. So coming to this permanent settlement, this settlement was introduced by the person called as Lord Cornwallis. He introduced this permanent settlement in the year 1793. So this permanent settlements was introduced in the places of the Bihar and the Bengal provinces. So what are the key points to remember about this permanent settlements? So these are the key points which you need to remember. So the first thing is land was given to the Jamindar on the basis of permanent basis. Permanent basis means we have learned in the Ijazatdari system, land was given for the 5 years. But in this permanent settlement, the land was given permanently, right? So they became the owners of the land in their Jamindars. So land was given to the Jamindar on the permanent basis, Jamindar for the permanent basis, and the Jamindar would become the owners of this land. And the revenue was fixed and has to be paid in the cash by the Jamindar who collected from the peasants. So what happened? This is the British, this is a Jamindar, this is a Jamindar, and this is the farmers who are working in that land, Jamindar's land, right? So the Jamindar would collect money from these and pay to the government. Government means British government. So if the Jamindar failed to do so, if the Jamindar failed to pay the duties, means failed to pay the money, he was confiscated. This land was confiscated. Confiscated means this land was taken away. Okay. The Jamindar's right of ownership became the hereditary and transferable. What is meant by this sentence? If he is a Jamindar, he has his land. So this land after his death is hereditary, means his son can also take. After this, his son, and it go on like that. So that is the meaning of this sentence. The actual cultivators become tenants. The actual cultivators. Who are the actual cultivators here? Farmers. Farmers are the actual cultivators. So these are the actual cultivators. They become the tenants and Jamindar become the owner. Tenants means, what is the meaning of the tenants? Tenants means someone who is not permanent. Okay. Actual cultivators. These are the actual cultivators in which they should be having all rights. They become the tenants. And the Jamindar became the owner, and this Jamindar was loyal to this British. So I told both the sentence uh, in one thing only. So, Rohit-Wari system. What is this Rohit-Wari system? So, this system, that is of Rohit-Wari system, was introduced by the British Reed and Thomas Munro. So, these are the peoples who introduced the Rohit-Wari system. We know that the permanent settlements was introduced by Lord Cornwallis in the year 1930, the 1993, sorry 1793, okay, and the Rohit-Wari system was introduced by Reed and Thomas Munro in the year 1823. Okay, and in this system was directly opposite to the permanent settlement. Rohit-Wari system was opposite to the permanent settlements. In the Rohit-Wari system, we know that Jamindar is the head, but in this, actual cultivators are the head. Okay, in the which system? In the Rohit-Wari system. So, let me see the key points to remember about this Rohit-Wari system. The settlement was made to the Rohits or cultivators. Settlement was made to the Rohits or cultivators. This is the land who are doing cultivators, for them only settlement was made according to this Rohit-Wari system. Okay. The land revenue was fixed for 30 years. But in the permanent settlement, land revenue was permanent. But in Rohit-Wari system, land revenue was 30 years. Okay. The system was introduced in the Madras and the Bombay Presidency in the year 1823, as I told you first only. And in the permanent settlement, when was it introduced? It introduced in 1793. In which provinces? In the Bengal and Bihar provinces. So, this is the simple thing in which an question, in which an examiner would ask these questions. Okay, he may ask for differentiation between the permanent settlement and the Rohit-Wari system. Permanent settlement and the Rohit-Wari system. So, these are the key points which you should remember about these permanent settlements as well as the Rohit-Wari system. Coming to the Mahalwari system, this is also an important system which was introduced in that period, in that British period. Okay, Mahalwari system. This system introduced the part of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Northwest provinces and the Punjab. The revenue settlements was made village by the village or estate by the estate for landlords or the head of the families. So, this was made to the estate or village for landlords. Landlords means head of landlords or head of family. Right. The Mahalwari areas also, the land revenue was periodically revised. Periodically revised, what is the meaning of this? Means these land revenue was chucked in these Mahalwari areas in which the Mahalwari system was introduced. So, these new land revenue system disposed a number of the peoples from the land into the different cases. So, number of the peasants were disposed. What is the peasants? Peasants were disposed, means were taken away from this land because of the many of the cases. These are the land of them, they were disposed. That's the reason the landless labour become the worst, and they had to seek the employment in the outside of the village. Okay, and due to this disturbed the ruler setup. Okay, and due to this only self-sufficient village community was also destroyed. So, as I told you, the Rohit-Wari system, permanent settlements, Mahalwari system led to the breakdown of many things, self-sufficient rulers, self-sufficient community of the village peoples. So, this land revenue system which was introduced by the British created a new class of Jamindar with their own rights. So, as I told you, the British was the Jamindar as collected many revenue from the peasants and giving to the company. Okay, peasants means farmers. The farmers' condition became miserable under the these settlements which I told. So, these farmers were forced by the British to grow the cash crops. Why they forced to grow the cash crops? The reason being that the British was collecting the money in the form of cash only, is not in the form of the kind. I told you what is the meaning of kind, right? So, what are the cash crops which you need to remember? That is of indigo, cotton, jute, poppy and sugarcane. Okay, these are the cash crops instead of the food crops like wheat and rice. So, whatever the land settlement may be which was introduced by the British, peasants are the ultimate sufferers. So, I like the last line which they told, this line which they told, whatever the type of land revenue system it may be, the ultimate sufferers were the peasants, because whatever it may be, Mahalwari system and it may be permanent settlement, or it may be any other which I explained you, all three, Mahalwari, Rohitwari. So one may think that Rohitwari system helped the cultivators, actual cultivators, but then also no, somewhat it destroyed. Okay, all the systems somewhat destroyed the peasants. Coming to the trade and industries at that time. In the 18th century, among all the industries of the early times, the textile had the place of pride in India. There were craftsmen who were usually patronized by the kings and nobles, because these which I told, those craftsmen were patronized by the kings and the nobles, because they were doing many famous things. They were making many textiles, which is very, very good, right? The craftsmen also produced luxury goods for the trade, who sold them to other countries. Goods that were in the high demand in the European markets was wool, silk, cotton, textiles and Dhaka muslin. The most important countries for these goods were India. Okay, in India only many places are there, such as Surat, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, right, Banaras. So the villagers made these beautiful vessels, ornaments and other objects of gold, silver and iron, etc. These Indian trade, industries and art crafts were in flourished state before coming of the English. Before coming of the English, the textile, Dhaka muslin and wool, silk and many ornaments, vessels of silver, gold, steel, bronze and many other things such as goods, right, many textiles were there before coming of the British. But after the British rule, British had changed the scenario of Indian trades and industries. Indian weavers could not compete with the cheap mill-made cloth imported by the England. So these, what? See, you can see the beauty of that time. So these were made by Indian textiles. These are the pattern of the Indian textiles. These. So nobles and the princes were patronized. These industries disappeared and artisans had no one to buy the product. Because what is the meaning of this sentence? So after the coming of the British, why after the coming of the British this all disappeared? Because the British made the industrial revolution. From this industrial revolution, British could make these things by the machines. But those which the British made was low quality. And the British gave them for less money. That's the reason these things were destroyed when the British came. Coming to the next stanza. So what is the meaning of no duties? No duties means they were not paying tax, more money on textiles sent to India. Okay, they were not paying money for textile that is sent to India. But they were imposed heavy duties, heavy money on textile on import to India. Duties on textile that is import, sent to India. Okay, sent to India. They were paying no duties on the textile sent to India, but they are making heavy duties on the textile import from India. Okay, so this is the meaning of this sentence. Coming to the drain of wealth, which we are going to deal in the next part of the video. We will do this in the next part of the video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and do subscribe this channel. By doing so, I will be encouraged to make more videos like this. Thank you. As I told you that industrial revolution came and the machine-made goods also came and the Indian goods were destroyed. So the British wanted to promote these products, these goods, okay, in India. They wanted Indians to become a big supplier of the raw material. Supplier means India should be a big supplier of the raw materials for the industries, and the remaining for the open market for the finished goods. The policies of the British systematically ruined the Indian economy. So Indian economy was ruined because the British, what happened now, if you see carefully, if you see this sentence carefully, so this is the India, this is the England. So what the British people will do means, what are the precious thing were there, they will take to England at less cost, and they will again give to industries they will prepare some other things and again they will sell to India. So this is what the British peoples were making. So this became the economic loss, because if they not did this means our village peoples only, they can only do so, they can only prepare all this. There was not an act of this England. Okay. Heavy duties were levied on the Indian cloths exported to England. These goods became costlier and could not compete with the machine-made cloths of the England. The policies of one-way free trade was followed by the British. The British protected and promoted their own textiles. Okay, they paid no duties on the textiles sent to India and imposed heavy duties on exported from India. What is the meaning of this sentence which I told? So heavy duties, the British made heavy duties on the Indian cloth exported to England. And these goods become costlier and do not compete with the machine-made goods of England. So these Indian goods were made by hand. That's the reason Indian goods are costly, but the machine-made goods are less cost. That's the reason more people are taking these goods. The British introduced one-way free trade policy. Okay, we will learn what is the meaning of this in the upcoming lectures. So the British had paid new duties on textiles sent by Indians and imposed heavy duties on export from India. So what is the meaning of no duties? No duties means they were not paying tax, more money on textiles sent to India. Okay, they were not paying money for textile that is sent to India, but they were imposed heavy duties, heavy money on textile on import to India. Duties on textile that is import, sent to India. Okay, sent to India. They were paying no duties on the textile sent to India, but they are making heavy duties on the textile import from India. Okay, so this is the meaning of this sentence. Coming to the drain of wealth, which we are going to deal in the next part of the video. We will do this in the next part of the video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and do subscribe this channel. By doing so, I will be encouraged to make more videos like this. Thank you.